Okay. I don't know if this setting works too well, because I have to like hunch my back, and the computer's pretty far away. I'm not sure if you can hear me that well. But I wanted to see if there was anything to say. I guess I've been thinking about delusion. Have I? I don't know. I've been thinking about delusion. Been thinking about well, expressing myself. Okay, that's a good topic. That's always a topic that's relevant. Fuck. I'm just gonna bring this here. Give it a shit. Okay, sorry. Okay. Expressing oneself. It's something that's difficult, and I think that the problem, like on this channel, what I've been noticing, specifically making these videos, is that it's very easy to express yourself from anger. Like, anger seems to be one of the main forces behind a lot of my videos, because I'm constantly sort of reacting towards ideas that have in some way or at some point made me feel angry. And so most of the content on this channel is me saying, no, I disagree with this, or I disagree with that, or I think this is the way things are, and so on. I wonder, though, to what extent maybe that's just part of how things are. Like, maybe that's partly what anger is. Some sort of a big force for self-expression. Like, I wonder to what extent maybe anger isn't intrinsic to self-expression in some way. There is some aspect of anger that is self-expression. Right? Perhaps self-expression is always a sort of rebellion against the world. It's an individuation, and therefore it's a form of rejection and rebellion against things that are sort of attacking you from outside. Like, perhaps all self-expression, even really peaceful self-expression, has within it a form of anger, as opposed to love. Let's say, like a form of hate as opposed to love, a form of saying no to things around you, and therefore kind of inscribing yourself into the world, putting yourself into the world as a place, as a position. I don't know. It could be. But I also wonder how best to channel that, so that this anger isn't just a fuel that's making self-expression unnecessarily. That's just like expressing itself when it could just reflect, cool itself off, and so on. Like, I wonder to what extent anger is necessary in self-expression. So those are some of the questions that I've been thinking about. I'm not entirely sure what my answer is, but I do feel like I want to continue making these videos and continue finding a way to express it, because I suppose if there is one thing that I agree with, maybe, and that could be applied to both positions, is that somehow understanding is clear for both positions. So in the position that says anger is essential for self-expression, one would imply that self-expression then is a form of, like, not a form of, but let's say understanding is part of that process. It's part of the process that where you can see what's making you angry, right? And then understand what it is, understand why you feel that way, understand what it is about you, inside of you, that's reacting against that, and try to understand it. So you're trying to understand yourself, and you're trying to understand the other. So maybe that form of anger as self-expression. As I said before, the kind of videos where you're saying, okay, these ideas exist, and I react against them. Basically, the history of thinking itself, of just people responding to past authors and saying, no, actually, I think things are this way, or no, actually, I think they're this way. That sort of anger, in the sense of not liking something outside of you and saying, no, this idea is something is not good. This idea is good. This sort of rejection of outside ideas is a process of thinking and understanding. You're understanding this idea that's making you feel angry. In order for you to express your own idea, you need to understand it. I think that's the process, is that it's not like first comes this idea and you respond to it with your own idea as if it was a separate event, but that it's almost as if you understand this other idea, this other person's idea, this other historical idea, whatever it is, while it makes you angry. And as it makes you angry, you understand it. Understanding it, the process of understanding it is almost equal to the process of you coming up with your response to it. Because it's the process of the emotion clearing away. I think when this happens, the anger sort of subsides. It transforms into this sort of understanding, maybe. And in the other form of anger, understanding is also crucial. The form that says, no, actually, anger is not the force for self-expression. In fact, it should be something that should be appeased and calmed down, and something that shouldn't be channeled and fueled into self-expression. That view also sort of prioritizes understanding in some way, because in that view, the calming down and peaceful pacifying of anger is also a sort of understanding of anger. Because to shove anger under the carpet, to ignore it, to try to reject it and hide it away and defeat it or kill it, all these attitudes that are not understanding the anger don't actually manage to get rid of the anger. They don't succeed. In fact, they generally generate more anger. So for the anger to subside, in my experience, and it seems to be a generally sort of recognized thing, it seems as if to understand the anger is to allow it to fade away. To understand what exactly is happening. What am I feeling? Right? Sometimes it's like this thing we're feeling and the thoughts in our head that are related to this anger, we're not really looking at them. We're just being angry. If there is the possibility of flowing with them or being with them in some way, then you are able to it's almost like you're able to truly think them and truly feel them. Those thoughts were trying to be thought, but you couldn't actually think them through because there was this stuck emotion. And those feelings as well. You think them, you understand them, and somehow it transforms into something different. There was some process there that was trying to happen, and it couldn't happen because it was blocked. So even in that version, which says, no, actually, let's try not to express ourselves with anger. Let's try to just calm down, and we'll do the self-expression later. In a sense, it seems to me like it eventually leads to some sort of a self-expression. It eventually has both of them have the same effect. In both of them, there is a process of understanding. You see? Like in both of them, there is a process of understanding that leads to a pacifying of the anger. So I think both are kind of the same. The problem then, the big question is, why? Why should we do one or the other, right? Because then, should you, for example, the question is, should you think through your anger like I'm doing now, in a video, in a text, in some sort of a process that allows you to think through it, and therefore reach a sort of understanding through self-expression? Or should you reach some sort of an understanding through the opposite of self-expression, through being and therefore listening, absorbing, thinking, meditating, reading, listening to other people, listening to the world, right? In one case, we absorb the outside world. In the other case, we speak out into the outside world. I don't know, right? So one of these two versions could work. And I suppose the issue is that different ones will work for different people. So the question is, how do you find this out? How do you discover this? Like, this is something I'm personally interested in, because obviously that's what I was saying at the beginning. I'm interested in knowing, is this helpful for me in any way? Is thinking through my processes as a form of video helpful? Or would it be more helpful to not dedicate all this energy into the video and dedicate it more into listening and doing things that are more listening based? Really, in a sense, only history can tell me that, as in, only my own sort of experience, I suppose, figuring out what works, what doesn't work, and so on. But I feel also that no matter what you're doing, like right now I'm making a video, you see? Like, for some reason I'm making a video. So I'm here making a video, and you could think, okay, if what I'm asking is it correct for me to be making a video now? Is this the right decision? Is it the wrong decision? That question holds within it, in a sense, a lot of guilt, or something of that kind. It's saying, was it the right decision to do this? Is this thing I'm doing right now the correct thing to be doing? And I think that in order to understand that, it's precisely good to not feel guilty, to not feel all these emotions. As in, to not... It's hard to explain why, but I think it's because these emotions, they're a form of attachment. they're a form of attachment. In the sense of, I'm making this video right now. No matter what happens, I am making it. If I were to discover right now that this is a bad decision, I could close the lid of my computer and stop recording this. But there is some sort of a delusion right now, in the sense that there is some sort of a lack of clarity as to whether it is right or wrong. And in that lack of clarity, neither decision would be clear. If I decided to stop or if I decide to continue, there's nothing in me that makes me know which is the right one or which is the wrong one. So in a sense, in this particular moment, it seems to be it would be unnecessary to feel bad about it. To feel bad about stuff that you already are doing. That's the issue with attachment. It's to say, this thing that I'm doing right now, I'm feeling bad about it right now. I think it's more useful, perhaps, tentatively I would say, it's more useful to feel bad about things you did in the past than to feel bad about what you're doing right now in the present. I mean, that's a hard one to discuss, but I mean this in the sense that no matter what lessons you can learn from your behavior, no matter what lessons you can learn from bad decisions that you've taken in the past and so on, I think that the lessons that you're going to learn are going to help you to behave better. And those lessons are just, they're not going to come right now in the present moment. That's the thing. There's something about this issue that has something to do with just the pure time. Right now, it's almost because if I am to really learn a lesson from my behavior, I need to learn it. Meaning I need to really be here and absorb whatever it is that I'm doing in order to learn the lessons from it. Attachment is like a form of saying, oh, I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be doing this. But you are. You know? You are. So no matter how much you try to say, oh, I shouldn't be here, you try to pretend like you're not actually doing something. Like actually your true enlightened self is somewhere else not doing this. But somehow you are doing this. You know? Something about that with attachment. It's like you're not fully being the thing that you already are right now. So anyway, in some strange way then, what that leads us to is that both positions, expressing yourself on video or not doing it, have similar kind of effects. Because in both cases, you have a sort of meditation at play. You're either meditating while you're expressing yourself, or you're meditating when you're meditating, as in when you're refusing to express yourself in that specific way, listening, reading, and so on. I don't know. Maybe the issue is to be sort of conscious of both, of both cases, and see what happens, and not feel guilt no matter what decision you take. So yeah.